Actually improving your pickleball game is incredibly simple, but for some reason people make it extremely complicated. Today I'm going to show you 5 simple drills that will supercharge your improvement on the court, along with tips that you can apply to your game to see instant results. The scariest situation in pickleball is when you're stuck at the midcourt and your opponent has an opportunity to slam the ball at you. Here's how to get comfortable in that situation. To start this drill, one person starts at the kitchen line and the other person starts at the midcourt. The objective of this drill is to get 3 points, but you can only get a point if you start in the midcourt. The person at the kitchen line will start by slamming a ball aggressively at your feet. It's supposed to be hard. After they slam that ball, you just play out the rest of the point like normal. This drill is really good because it gets you a lot of reps from a compromised position. This is in fact the scariest situation in pickleball. When someone has an overhead and you're stuck in the midcourt, there's only so much you can do with that ball. So getting really comfortable in this position is going to improve the rest of your game dramatically. The most dangerous threat from this position is a ball that they slam towards your feet. So you need to go ahead and have your paddle in this position. That way, if they do hit the ball towards your feet, then you only have to move just a little bit to defend it. If for some reason they happen to hit the ball above your paddle, it's probably just going to go out. But there is a situation where they hit the ball and it lands super close to the kitchen and then it bounces up really high. And that's good for you because if you're already down here, you have plenty of time to rise up and then hit a shot from here. But what you don't want to have happen is be standing straight up and then they hit a ball at your feet, and to get to that ball you have to drop down super fast and you probably won't be making good contact with that. Your first shot from this position doesn't have to be great. It doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be a legal shot that goes over the net. This is a very difficult spot to be in, and so you're not looking for a winner straight away. Instead, you want to be very defensive here and just look to get balls over the net and then start crawling your way back from this position. When you're hitting these first shots, look to aim super high and maybe even make them hit another overhead. Anything you can do just to make sure you get into this rally for another point. There's one more way that you can make this position easier for yourself, and that's how you decide to hit the next ball. The hardest thing to defend from this position is a volley out of the air. Whenever you hit a volley, that ball is coming at you with the most pace and spin that it possibly can have. So trying to take a ball out of the air around your feet or close to your shins is really difficult because you have to contend with all that pace and spin. A better option is to hit a short hop. So this is where the ball hits the ground and then immediately hits your paddle after it. We call this a short hop. Whenever that ball hits the ground, the friction from the ground takes away a lot of the pace and the spin from the ball. So the shot that you're able to hit off of the short hop is usually a little safer. But the best option if you have time is to take a step back, let the ball hit the ground so all the pace and spin comes off of it, then let it rise and peak. And in this moment, this is where the ball has the absolute least amount of spin and it's not moving very fast. It's essentially a blank canvas for you to do whatever you want to with it. If you ever have the chance, give yourself plenty of time and space and just look to take that ball off of the bounce instead of out of the air. The dink, speed up, and reset are the cornerstones of every good pickleball player. And thankfully, we have a drill that works on all 3 of these incredibly important skills. For this drill, you're gonna have one person standing at the kitchen and then your partner is also going to be standing at the kitchen. The first player starts the drill by hitting a dink. The second player hits a speed up, and then the first player hits a reset, and then the pattern continues with the second player now hitting the dink first. This drill is called dink, speed up, reset because this is the pattern that the shots will follow. Dink, speed up, reset, dink, speed up, reset, etc. This drill is really good for getting you a lot of reps in a very focused state. There's not a lot of times in pickleball drills where you can have this much intentionality with your shots and do it over and over and over again. This is one of the drills that will get you the most reps possible on the pickleball court, and all these shots are great and essential to pickleball. The other benefit is that it gets you a lot of reps hitting different speed ups and defending a variety of speed ups. So it's really important in this drill to, when you're hitting your speed ups, that you're mixing it up and aiming for different parts of your opponent's body. The first tip for this drill is to make your speed ups look exactly like your dinks. So this is a great way to practice that because you're going to be hitting a dink and then a speed up and then a dink and then a speed up. So you can try to make your speed up look as close to your dink as possible. What that means is when you're hitting this shot, make sure you're low to the ground as if you're hitting a dink. Usually you want your paddle tip facing the ground so they don't know where you're going to hit the next ball. And in your backswing, keep it super minimal as if you're just hitting a regular dink. And at the last second, you can maybe add a little bit of wrist to flick it at your opponent. But your eyes, your body, your legs, everything should be saying the word dink, but then you actually hit a speed up. The next tip is to start to lower down the second before your opponent hits the ball. So in order to reset this ball, you have to absorb it with your entire body. And to do that, you need to make sure that you have your legs bent. So if you wait until the last second to bend your legs as they're hitting this shot, you're going to be lowering as they hit it, and you don't have enough time to absorb that shot. The much better option is to go ahead and start to lower right before they hit the ball, and now you can be in a bent position, ready to absorb the ball whenever they hit it at you. In this drill, make sure you're very aware of your paddle position and your opponent's paddle position. So if you start to see them shaking their paddle to one side consistently, just tell them and give them that feedback so they can stay more balanced and ready for any speed up that you hit at them. One of the quickest ways to improve at pickleball is to develop the habit of hitting the highest percentage shot in any given situation. This is exactly what this drill does. So for this drill, you're going to have one person starting at the kitchen. So he's going to start at the kitchen line and he's going to stay there the entire time. Now me, player number 2, I'm going to start at the baseline. We're going to be hitting 2 different types of shots here. We're going to be hitting drives from this side of the court down the line, and then drops from this side of the court cross court. So the drill works by me first feeding a ball to myself. I'll drive it down the line. The person at the net defends that ball cross court. I run over here, hit a cross court drop, and then the play continues like this, cross court drop. He feeds me a down the line drive. I hit it. I go back here and you just go back and forth. This drill is really good for several reasons, but one of the main reasons is that this is one of the only drills where you're actually practicing as if you're in a real game situation. As you see, this drill is super intense and it's going to get your heart rate elevated. But very often when we're doing these types of drills, we don't get our heart rate elevated, and then we get into a game situation and our heart rate gets super high and things feel a lot different. So this is a great way to practice hitting the best shot when you're tired on the court in a real game situation. Here's why these shots are the best. So if I'm hitting a drop straight down the line, the net on this side of the court is higher than it is anywhere else along this net. So for me to hit this drop down the line, I have to clear this net, which means I have to get that ball super high over the net, which means that this person is going to be able to take that ball out of the air more than likely. Instead, it's usually better to drive down the line because this person has less time to react to the shot that you're hitting, and you don't have to worry so much about hitting a perfect shot that dips over the net. But you usually don't want to drive cross court, because when you drive cross court, the person over there has plenty of time to react, and usually you're going to get your partner in trouble more so than you. So when they have a lot of time to react, they can take the drive that you hit at them and just slam it back at your partner, and you might lose the point. So instead, when you're hitting cross-court shots, it's usually best to hit a drop in this position for a couple reasons. Number one, the lowest part of the net is the middle of the net. So when we're hitting cross-court drops, we're hitting balls that cross around the middle or slightly to the side of it. So you're giving yourself the most margin of error in that position. And the second reason is that when you put a drop cross-court, that drop is going to be in front of your partner. And if you hit a good enough drop, this person has to hit a very difficult shot. And if they don't hit it perfectly, then your partner has plenty of opportunity to poach that ball and win the rally instantly. Here's a few tips to help with this drill. Number one, on both your drives and your drops, give yourself plenty of clearance over the net. You never want to hit the net and just lose the point instantly. Always give yourself a chance to defend the next shot by making sure it goes over the net and make your opponent hit the winner instead of you making the error. Second tip, whenever you're hitting your drop specifically, you want to make sure that the shot is peaking on your side of the court and then dropping over the net. If your ball is still rising as it crosses the net, then this person is going to have no problem taking it out of the air, and they're going to hit a very aggressive shot back to you. Since we're moving back and forth rapidly in this drill, you got to make sure your footwork is good. So anytime you're hitting a shot down the line, plant on your outside foot, and then after you hit this shot, push off of your outside foot rather than hitting and falling off to the side of the court and then trying to recover. So on your drive, plant, hit, push back to the middle. On your drops, same thing. Try to get your outside foot down, hit, and then push back to the middle. On your drops more specifically, you might cross over, but if you do cross over, after you hit the shot, immediately pop back and get into ready position so you can move to cover the drive. And the final tip for this drill is to make sure you're watching the ball all the way through contact. It's the simplest thing you can do to instantly improve your game. Just literally look at the holes in the ball as you're making contact and you'll improve your game dramatically just because you're making sure that you're hitting perfect contact. This is the simplest way to improve your dinking. So for this drill, you're going to have one person standing at the kitchen line and they're not going to move at all. Their job is to feed you dinks at different parts of the court. So to start, you'll go down the line and hit a dink this direction. He now hits one to the middle of the court and I have to shuffle over and get that ball back. He hits a ball to the far side of the court. I have to run over here, hit a cross court dink, and then the pattern repeats just like this, hitting a cross court shot, a middle shot, a down the line shot, and then you just go back and forth. This drill is really good because it gives you a realistic way to practice in-game dinking scenarios. One of the hardest shots to hit for beginners is a dink while they're on the move. Very often when you're on the move, you tend to pop your dinks up rather than hitting them in a controlled manner. This is a great way to improve that. Just like our last drill, this is a better way to practice dinking rather than the traditional back and forth, super slow warm-up dinks that everybody does. At least this way, you're moving around, getting your heart rate up, and hitting shots from different positions. The first tip is to think about hitting lift dinks when you're hitting down the line, and then push dinks when you're going cross court. So whenever I'm down the line here, once again, the net's really high, it's very difficult for me to hit an aggressive dink to my opponent's feet. Instead, I want to lift the ball over the net so it has a lot of net clearance and land shallow in the kitchen, so it's difficult for them to attack me on that next shot. But when I'm hitting cross-court shots, I have plenty of room over the net, and here's where I'd want to be a little more aggressive and try to push a ball towards their feet that they hopefully mess up. The second tip is to really pay attention to your paddle face during this drill. So whatever direction your paddle face is pointing, that's the direction the ball is going to go. So if my paddle face is pointing in this direction, I can be pretty sure the ball is going to go in that direction. It's not like tennis where the ball absorbs into your paddle or your strings, and then you can manipulate it with your swing. Instead, just point your paddle face where you want it to go, and then you'll be guaranteed to hit the ball in that direction. On these backhand dinks specifically, try not to cross your feet over. But once again, if you do that, just make sure you pop back super quickly so you can get back to the ball that goes to the middle of the court. Your footwork for the majority of this drill should be shuffling, where you start in a ready position and then you push off your outside foot and get back to a ready position in either direction. What you want to avoid is the most common footwork mistake, where you're trying to go one direction, but you take your inside foot and move it in the opposite direction to get the momentum to go that way. This is the least optimal way to move, but for some reason, everybody does this at some point on the pickleball court. Just make sure you're moving your feet in the direction you want to go always, and you're not backtracking. If you practice this drill, you're going to have an edge over everyone you play against. This is the best way to improve your reaction time and shot placement in hands battles. So for this drill, you're both going to start at the kitchen line and then take one step into the kitchen. So this reduces the amount of distance between you so that the ball comes at you faster and you have less time to react. This drill is entirely focused on volleys, which means that we're taking every ball out of the air. So to start, we're gonna be doing patterns. First, we're gonna go forehand to forehand, where I hit a shot with my forehand, he hits a shot with his forehand, and we go back and forth just like this. Then after you've hit somewhere around 20 in a row, you wanna go backhand to backhand. Once you get past the backhand stage, we'll go on to figure eights, where I hit a shot cross court, he hits one down the line, I hit a shot cross court, he hits one down the line, and this is that figure eight pattern. And then finally, we'll move on to one where it's completely free, but we're standing inside the kitchen. You can hit it wherever you want to, and this is the actual best way to improve your hand speed. The most important part of this drill is to not guess. If you start shading your paddle in one direction and they hit the ball to the other side of your body, you're never going to get that ball. Because we step into the kitchen, you have so little time to react that if you have any false movement, you're not going to get the ball back. The second tip is to keep your paddle in front of you the entire time. When you start making contact close to your body, you start losing in the hands battle. But if you can make contact in front of you, you have much better control over where you hit that ball, and you have a much higher variety of available angles. Because the distance between us is so small, you want to make sure that your reload time is very fast. So after I hit the ball, I need to be ready immediately to hit the next ball. To do this, you have to have minimal follow through. So instead of finishing over your shoulders or with a super big swing, you want to keep your stroke very compact and just barely move your paddle forward. But to do this and get any power in it, you have to have your legs bent. That way you can generate power from the ground up. If you're trying to stand straight up and hit this ball, you're guaranteeing that you're going to be using your arms more than your legs. If you want even more content like this, subscribe to my free newsletter where I give away a paddle every single week for free. And if you've made it this far into the video, please consider subscribing. And YouTube thinks you're really going to like this video. You should click on it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace. All right, sweet.